Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot for the very first time. If you're brand new here, thank you so much for joining me today for a good old classic life purpose pick a card reading. I've done some life purpose readings on my channel before, but it's probably been about 8 months or so, I think, by my best estimation, so I thought it would be a fun time to bring up the topic again and see what comes up. So, without further ado, let us pick our pile leaders to choose our messages with, calling on Spirit for the highest best good of everyone watching. Please guide us to the right cards to pick our messages with today. Life purpose. Thank you. Okay, there's pile 1. Feel that one for pile 2. And for our wonderful pile 3 today, I'm feeling that one. So let's unveil the cards together. So for our wonderful pile number 1 over here on the left, your pile leader is Earth of Celestial with the tagline of Radical Potential. Okay. For pile number 2 here in the middle, your leader today is Dimensional of Air, Ceaseless Beginning. And last but not least, for our wonderful pile number 3 over here on the right, your pile leader today is Celestial of Fire, True Will. Okay, so we'll set those nice and neat here. As I always say, you're welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide what pile you would like read for you today. If you are brand new to pick a card readings and you're like, well, how do I choose Lone Pine? My suggestion is always just taking a short meditative moment. So close your eyes, take in a deep cleansing breath. Imagine that you're drawing in light into your lungs and your heart space as you draw in that breath and hold it. And then when you let it back out again after a meditative pause, open your eyes, and where are you first drawn to? Where do your eyes go? What feels right in your gut? And that is how I recommend that you choose your pile with. But of course, you can use whatever method you'd like, even just what looks the coolest. So either way, whenever you are ready, you can drop down to the description box below or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Find the timestamp there for your pile, and I'll see you in our little chat about unlocking your destiny. What is your life's purpose? See you there. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about your life purpose and unlocking your destiny. Of course, as you can recall, the pile leader you were drawn to was the beautiful Earth of Celestial with Radical Potential. So this is a very interesting card for you to have been drawn to for your life purpose, pile 1, because it's kind of like what it says on the card. It's the element of earth meeting the celestial, so the material meeting higher planes. How that manifests in our lives, especially taking into account that this is a life purpose reading. The first intuitive thing I'm getting off the bat for your life purpose is you're not meant to be doing something uber specific. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have a focus in your life, pile 1, that you are really drawn to. Say maybe the arts, say maybe the sciences, say insert career thing that you're drawn to here. However, what I'm hearing is more of your life purpose is in the doing, in the journey to those things, rather than the goal. Does that kind of make sense, pile 1? So you're someone who, if I were to characterize you as a character in a storybook, in your favorite tale, let's say, it's not so much what you do as a hero at the climax of the story. It's the purpose of your life is the reaching, the attaining, and learning lessons around those particular struggles and strivings, okay? One word that came up for me when I was kind of meditating on your pile and your card before I turned on the recording here is star catcher. Like almost, it was literally like someone reaching for a star. So it kind of what I said. I don't want to repeat too much. It's almost like you embody the strength and the power of someone who is always reaching, who never gives up reaching, or at least part of your life purpose is learning not to give up, right? And it's not about the star. It's about the action of the arm reaching for that goal or that dream, okay? So there will be other things that pop out with the other cards in this reading, of course, that kind of define more of your life purpose and your destiny and things like that. But that is the first thing that came off the bat, is that if you're the type of person to kind of worry about, like, what is my distinct end goal of this particular life that I'm meant to live, the trick with your life, pile 1, at least in this particular lifetime, there is none. And that's the beauty of it. So whatever you choose, it's meant to be, because that isn't your lesson. The lesson is in the reaching, not in the attaining. Okay, so before I ramble too much more, let's draw some of your other cards. But I just thought it was a really beautiful life purpose, pile 1, because, sometimes when you have a life purpose reading, you hear things like, oh, you're very specifically supposed to do this thing, or, you're supposed to go to this place and be in relationships with these people and attain this thing. And the beauty of your life, pile 1, is you can kind of make it a dance of your own. So let's see. I first want to let's draw some of your oracle cards, pile 1. I want to do the Citadel Oracle. Of course, calling on spirit for the highest best good of pile 1 today, our star catchers, as we called them. What else can you tell me about their life purpose in this lifetime, their destiny? Okay, the Walker. You know what I just said, pile 1? I swear to God. And I'm sorry, like, those of you who watch me a lot, I freak out whenever I get a card that, like, reaffirms just what I said, but look at this. Look at that card, pile 1. The Walker with the element of, that is Earth. Okay, Earth of Celestial, look at that. Literally, it's the element of, like, birds rising to the sky, like Earth rising to Celestial, but specifically it says the unknown, a journey. And what did I just say, pile 1? Your life purpose isn't in the destination, it's in the journey on the way. Okay, so that just reaffirms that. The Walker, beautiful. I want to draw one more card from this particular deck. Well, that one just kind of fell out on the bottom, and you know what? I'm going to take it, pile 1. It is meant to be. We have the Sailor. More about journeying, not so much the destination. And we have Earth yet again. Look at that, pile 1. I don't know if you're an Earth sign or you have a lot of Earth placements in your chart, pile 1, but so the Sailor, of course, which is interesting. You think the Sailor would be water, but it is Earth. New influences and wanderlust. So I don't know if maybe some of this manifests in your life of a discomfort you often feel regarding staying in one place at one time. Because when we talk about wanderlust, that's the element of, someone really having a thirst for adventuring and exploring, not so much staying in one place, right? Also, new influences makes me think of someone who is very interested in learning new things. It's experiencing new cultures. Maybe you travel a lot or you have that really deep desire, pile 1. That's another way that this can manifest. So many synchronicities in this reading. It's just beautiful. Gorgeous. Anything else with these two cards? And it's interesting, too, because you have a lot of, like, radiance depicted in this particular, these two cards that came out for you. You have the sun rising here, and you also have the sun, or at least, like, kind of sun rays shining behind the boat here. So I think that represents to me as a tarot reader that you are also meant to shine as an example for others. I mean, of course, like we all do, I think, in some ways, especially with those in our soul circles and our soul families, whatever you like to call it, your tribe. But you specifically, pile 1, really are meant to serve as an example. And I think if I had to use one word, it would be inspiration. I think because your journey is so much about the adventure and not the destination, and, people seeing you go through those cycles again and again, it inspires them to reach for their goals as well. To be brave to travel, to be brave to wander into the unknown. Because that's very scary for a lot of people, pile 1. But you're specifically someone who is meant to be very good at that. To wander into the unknown unafraid. Okay. Yeah, lots of this. It's just Earth everywhere. Earth everywhere. I don't know if you're like a Taurus, pile 1. Virgo is another Earth sign. Let's see. Let's grab this particular deck here. I want to use the Lantern Oracle. which could also speak more about the lessons specifically you're meant to learn. We'll draw that, and then I'll also just draw the last oracle card. And then, of course, we'll have tarot at the end. So here we go. There's that one. And we have the Soul Mirror Oracle. Let's see. I always have a hard time holding this because it's very wide. It's not easy having tiny hands. All right. So my adventurer wanderers. And radical potential, too, makes me think, pile one, that you also are somebody who, I mean, not only thrives in the potential, hence why you're like a star catcher, always reaching, but that you have radical potential as well, because it's earth meaning celestial. So, you know, things made tangible, things achieved tangibly with the earth element as an influence. So could also be you're meant to be very successful in whatever that means to you, pile one. You're not someone who is meant to, I'm not necessarily saying like successful in the way of being famous or like uber rich, which, I mean, that could be your life, pile one, but I think specifically it's like you're meant to be successful in that because your life is so focused on the reaching and the journeying, you become so old-hatted that you're very good about, I think you're very good about starting new things, pile one. You're very good about having the gumption and the bravery to try new things and to try new adventures. Let's look at your Soul Mirror Oracle here. We have Comfort with Lost and Found. That's very cute. Looks a lot like a cat that I have. Very sweet. Comfort and Lost and Found. You know, and the lost just kind of makes me think of that wanderlust again. And found, too. Like you're always trying to find. Always searching. Never steady in one place at a time. Or at the very least, that's what your heart yearns for. Because, of course, you know, like financial things can kind of set us back from traveling a lot or moving a lot, but... very, very interesting with this card. Oh, we'll come back to that in a second. And then we'll have your Lantern Oracle here revealed. We have False Beliefs. Okay, interesting. You have the owl, which makes me, of course, think of Athena. Also, owls are known for, in some cultures, being like messengers from the other side. Sometimes omens of death, although a lot of cultures, of course, associate them with wisdom too, specifically Western cultures. So False Belief says, number 13, once the untruths that we believe about ourselves are illuminated, so are the ways we can release the false limitations they confine us to. So, you know what, pile one, I think part of maybe your early life, or maybe you're still kind of working through this lesson, that even though you're meant to reach and strive, be that star catcher we talked about, there might have been an issue earlier in life, or like I said, that you're going through right now, where you held yourself back a lot because of false beliefs. Because of beliefs like, I am not good enough, you know, I don't deserve that thing that I want to attain or seek. What are some other false beliefs that might pop up with your life path here? You know, oh, can I really do it? Can I really achieve these things that I'm seeking? Because, you know, in my experience, pile one, when we have a life purpose, there's often a lesson like this that is like the gatekeeper towards attaining that life purpose. So like I said, you're reaching for the stars, you're reaching for goals, not specific ones, but just in general. And what better way to teach you how to do that than to give you false beliefs about yourself about whether or not you can? Because that's the key to your power, pile one, is throwing away those false beliefs, and then the door opens. And you walk forward with the confidence of, I can, and so you do. Okay. So, it really depends on which of you, like, all of you watching, like, where you're at in your particular life path, because everyone's different ages, or, you know, same thing, everyone's different parts of their life path specifically watching this. But, be aware of when your false beliefs hold yourself back. I also am getting a glimpse here, pile one. This might be kind of sound weird, but I almost wonder if you're into antiques or you're into very old-fashioned things and refining old-fashioned things. Maybe particularly if you like traveling, and part of it is you really like traveling to very old cultures, okay? For some reason, Southeast Asia is really popping up as a specific thing for me right now for you. England, Western Europe, places like North Africa, like Egypt, for example. and maybe even parts of the Middle East, like, just for example, Jerusalem is coming up, but specifically Southeast Asia was the very first one that popped up. Okay. Maybe an interest in Buddhism as well. That's kind of popping through. But antiquing, yeah, was another thing that popped through for you. It's like you really like discovering old things. Maybe that even peaks to an interest in archaeology, that's the word I wanted to say. Archaeology, anthropology, the study of humanity through time, okay? What are some other things? Maybe really fascinated in history. Perhaps even history was your favorite subject in school. Okay, and I think maybe there's even a bit of inspiration here from historical figures. Like maybe you really look up to some certain historical figures. Like other people would look up to celebrities, but you, pile one, you're like, oh no, this historical figure is my favorite, right? And comfort too. Finding comfort in the reaching, in the striving. Because a lot of people would be very discomforted by seeking the unknown, pile one, but part of your life path and your purpose is to almost feel comfortable on the road. Some of you might even be into like RV traveling, tiny home traveling, things like that. You seem very like nomadic to me. That's the word that's really popping through is being a nomad. Being comfortable with not being in one place all the time. And seeking wisdom in the differences between the lands. Okay, let's draw your tarot cards. Pile one, beautiful. My star catcher. My nomads. Sorry, I paused for just a moment. I was looking at the faces of these two women here. And it is interesting how they're looking at like exactly the same angle. They kind of even look similar. Yeah, I don't know if you have piercing eyes, pile one. I know this isn't like an appearance reading, but something about your eyes is very unique too, or piercing. Maybe it's like a unique color, or it's very, your eye color is stark against your other tones. Oopsie, there we go. And number 5. Let us seek more wisdom here through your tarot story. Your tarot story begins with the 5 of Swords reversed. Okay, so that tells me, pile one, that maybe early in your life you dealt with a lot of struggles with maybe fights with other people. Maybe you had a family that you grew up in that was kind of tumultuous, especially in terms of verbal fighting, okay? Because the Swords suit is communication, which is like air, the way we think, the way we speak. And the 5 of Swords is overcoming, at least reversed, overcoming times of verbal sparring and harsh fighting. Maybe you even had parents that fought a lot. Maybe they divorced when you were very young. Maybe even separated before you were born, something along those lines. So I see a tough upbringing here. It was not easy. Okay. Because this tells me that your childhood was a way of, sorry, I'm like stuttering here. Trying to think of the best way to put it. Your childhood was a time of overcoming that conflict, okay? Trying to handle it, trying to deal with it. And then we had the 7 of Wands reversed, okay? 7 of Wands reversed is letting go of defensiveness, letting go of feeling like we're surrounded, okay? So even a little bit later in life, too, I think, tied with your childhood, maybe even more into your adolescence, your teenage years, I think you suspected people a lot. I think you were suspicious of people a lot. It was hard for you to trust people because of your upbringing, because of everything that happened with your family. Maybe even nowadays you don't fully trust people very easily, or your family. Because the 7 of Wands reverse is like letting go of defensiveness. Because she has that wand up, like she's ready to have it keep her balance as she's walking over the other wands over the river. Walking on tiptoes, also being very aware of what people say. That can also happen too when we have childhoods where there might have been like abuse particularly prominent, and so sometimes people walk on tiptoes because when they live with an abuser, they are so used to watching for those cues so that they don't trigger their abuser into, I won't explain too much, but you know what I mean. So it's like a hard time trusting people as well. But then we also have the action of someone maybe thinking about journeying. Maybe that's why, like, I don't know if you moved out young too, but that's like kind of what triggered that wanderlust, because it was like a discomfort at home that pushed you into wanting to adventure a lot. Because happiness for you wasn't found at home. And then we have the Four of Swords as the heart of the story, which is rest, okay? It's also a life purpose of finding rest and peace and comfort after trauma, like we have already discussed, okay? Finding calm, and it's interesting too because he's on a boat, which boats, of course, move because the water is never completely still. And it's like, even while you're traveling, that thing I was talking about earlier, or moving around a lot, you find the comfort in the moving, like the man resting in the boat. Okay, and then we've got, look at all these swords too. You might also have some air signs. Pile 1. Nine of Swords reversed is releasing or relieving anxiety. I think, if you haven't already, part of your journey ahead or right now is related to relieving some of the anxiety that came from your earlier years, okay? Because the Nine of Swords reversed represents alleviating anxiety, alleviating what makes us fearful, okay? Finding comfort. And last but not least, we have the Fool reversed, okay? Being wary of taking risks. Also, the Fool is someone going on a journey, but reversed Pile 1, it's someone that has, sometimes I read it as someone that has finished a journey, which is interesting because as we talked before, with a lot of the other cards, your life purpose is in the journey, is in the finding, is in the new adventure, okay? And so it's almost like at some point, or at least the outcome of what the path you're on right now with this life purpose, you're going to become very wise into the ways of traveling if you haven't been already, because the Fool reverse can represent taking risks or being wary of taking risks when you set out on an adventure. But I think you're going to get, or you already are, at such a point of comfort with traveling that, or wandering around, never really finding exactly the destination or the goal in mind, that you won't even feel those risks anymore because you'll be I get like street smart vibes off of you too, Pile 1. Like, you're very street smart. You're very wise. Like, I feel nerdy using a D&D reference, but you're like one of those people that has really, really high stats and wisdom. If you're familiar with D&D references or RPG references, like, you're not necessarily like book smart. I mean, you might be, Pile 1, but if anyone were to describe your intelligence, it would definitely be in the wisdom, okay? Being wise beyond your years. Okay, and in terms of career, because some of you might be asking too, like, well, what career would I be good at if maybe you're seeking that or you're trying to find a change in that aspect? Once again, Pile 1, it's kind of hard to define a career for you because a lot of your life purpose isn't around the attaining, it's in seeking, okay? So you not maybe even knowing what your career is, or maybe you've jumped careers a lot, is fulfilling your life purpose. Okay, so if you feel like you failed in that area because you jumped around a lot, or like your attention is kind of here and then it's there, you didn't fail. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But if I did have to pick a specific career, you do have a lot of swords, and you do have a lot of like earth, and normally I would call that pentacles, but this oracle deck doesn't use pentacles, but that is the earth suit in tarot. So lots of air, lots of earth. And then we also have the comfort card. You might find luck in doing jobs where you comfort people. Maybe even it's like a combination of comfort and traveling. Like, I think of, like, oh, I'm sorry, the name is eluding me. The people who work on airplanes and they hand out snacks and they take care of people. Hostess? I'm going to feel really dumb later because I know it's just on the tip of my tongue. Those people who work on airplanes. I'll call them a hostess for now, but that might not be the right particular name for them. Feel free to correct me in the comments down below. I'll feel really dumb when I realize what it is. But yeah, so like an airplane hostess, or maybe even traveling for like acting is another thing that's coming through for some of you. It could also be comfort makes me think of like healing related jobs, maybe even working with animals. Because even the false beliefs girl, she had an owl on her shoulder, and then this one's holding a cat. Working with animals a lot. It could also be like just nurturing, like nursing. It could be like being a doctor. It could be to where air meets earth. I think of careers where intelligence meets the material. So you might be really drawn to careers that use your brain to make things material, like inventing things is a really good example. Engineering things. It could also mean maybe even some of you would be really good with farming, like making material out of earth. Okay, things like that. And I'm trying to see any last little bits and pieces of your life purpose here. So it also seems too, because of the trauma earlier on in your life, pile 1, that part of your life purpose too is to overcome those early obstacles to a point where you don't even feel the risk in journeying anymore. You don't feel the risk in trying new things. Or if you're already at that point, good job. You met your life purpose. And to overcoming a lot of mental stress. I don't know if you have maybe like anxiety disorder, pile 1, or similar mental health related things, like depression is another thing popping through. A part of your life purpose is overcoming those as well. Okay? Not just healing others, but healing yourself. All right, so let me see if there's any one last thing I want to mention for your life purpose today. Oh, one more thing, pile 1. This was also, I was reading my notes over from kind of the meditation I did before I did the reading. One last thing I want to mention is part of your life purpose too is remembering who you are, or who you were, I should say, before that trauma. So you might do really good in attempting some inner child work, in doing, if you haven't already, and if it is available to you, because I know with the economy nowadays and availability of therapists, sometimes it's really hard, but doing therapy around your childhood, if you haven't done so already, basically keying more closely to who you were at your core, or who you are at your core, I should say, before life's obstacles and stresses put on its costume upon you. Okay, that's how I'll put it. So, what would your inner child want? What would your inner child say? Those are good things to keep in mind for your path ahead. So, that is your life purpose reading today, my wonderful star catcher pile number 1. I hope it was helpful. I hope it resonated. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet, helping me out just a little bit so I can help provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 2. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about your life purpose and your destiny. And of course, as you can recall, the pile leader you chose was Dimensional of Air, Ceaseless, Beginning. So right off the bat for your life purpose, pile 2, before we even draw any other cards, I did some meditating on the piles before I recorded each and every single one. And in the meditation for your pile today, I was getting the sense for you that part of your life purpose is seeing things anew and always being at the beginning of things and seeing things with a fresh soul. Almost kind of the way like how children view the world. Like, for example, children don't really, I guess it depends on the kid, but at their best and their most healthiest, children don't really question whether or not they should dream about doing something, right? Their imagination is boundless. And so I think, we'll talk more about your early childhood years and your life so far, pile 2. But if I had to give a guess right now, I think you might have had an early childhood where, I don't know if it's like you had to grow up really fast. The specific therapeutic or psychologic term I'm hearing is parentification, like maybe you had to kind of be a parent to your parent or a parent to your other siblings, like you didn't really have much of a childhood. So part of your life purpose, I'm hearing, is so like you as an adult refining being a child again in, of course, a mature way, right? I mean, I was gonna say it's not like, you go and finger paint, but hey, as an adult you can go and finger paint if you want, right? But finding yourself as a child again as an adult, right? Seeing things anew, seeing things fresh. Hence the title, Ceaseless Beginning. Always beginning, never the end. Every single step is the first step. Things like that. And also, you might have found so far in your life with this life purpose that maybe you've started a lot of new projects. Maybe you've started a lot of new careers. Maybe, you might be kind of like pile one this way, where maybe you move around a lot, starting anew, different places. Because it's like you are grasping for, at a soul level, with what resonates with your soul, of that newness, that youth that you lost. You're trying to reattain that. And your life purpose is doing just that. Okay. Also, you might find that you are attracted to things that, maybe like children typically are more attracted to. Not to say that in like a condescending way, but like, for example, and I guess this is really the way that society maybe views it, but like I personally really love animated movies, and a lot of people would be like, oh, animated movies are for kids. But you might be like me, Pyle, too, where you really like animated movies. You like, I don't know, like Disney, Studio Ghibli, things like that. Those types of movies, Pixar, whatever. Or maybe you are drawn to working with children. Maybe you work with children, or that's part of, a desire that you have in a career. Okay, like being a teacher, being, like a nurse for pediatric care, things like that, or, child care, caring for children, things along those lines. Because not only do you sort of fit into that role, especially if you were parentified, okay, which is kind of a sad thing, right, Pyle, too, but it's turning it into a good thing. Or it's also because you connect to children very well. You connect to youthful souls. Okay, and it's like your soul kind of yearning for the wisdom that children have that we lose as we grow older. The wisdom to dream and imagine without bounds. Okay, so that is what I'm seeing for your life purpose. Just so far with just that first card. Let's grab, of course, some other cards, though. I first want to tap into the Citadel Oracle, which is fantastic for a life purpose reading. Of course, calling on spirit for our highest, best good for Pile 2. What more can you tell me about their life purpose? Okay, let's read these two cards to begin. First up, you have the Sleeper. The element of fire with cause and effect and clarity. So remember I was talking about imagination? I know it's not mentioned in this particular card, but when I see the closed eye and sleeping, I think of dreaming, just as children do, okay? Cause and effect and clarity makes me think, you might have, Pile, to some psychic abilities. I want to say you might be the kind to see the future through dreams. I don't know if you've ever had, like, prophetic dreams, I guess is what I would call them. Like you dream something and later on you get deja vu, it happens. Okay, things like that. Or you predict things through dreams. That could also be part of your life purpose and destiny is as someone to, tell others of the future or to know the future through the realm of sleep. Okay. And then cause and effect and clarity too. We'll return to that. But that's interesting. Okay. Then we have the Gambler with the element of earth. Loss and risks. Okay, so that can mean that, you have dealt with a lot of loss in your life, Pile 2, especially when it comes to finances. Maybe you have lost a lot of money in some way, or you have struggles with money, things like that. Maybe even you did have a struggle with gambling at one point, or maybe part of the reason you had to grow up so fast is because you had a parent that was like this, was a gambler, or someone who took a lot of loss risks because of an addiction to gambling or things like that. But I'm also hearing something about this, Pile 2, where you're someone who maybe you're averse to risks because of that. You like a lot of security and comfort in knowing the outcome. Which is interesting and kind of ironic because, like I said, I think you're able to see the future in dreams. You're able to prophesize the future. Maybe because you had to rely on intuition so much at a young age. Okay. Let's also grab your Soul Mirror Oracle and then the Lantern Oracle. And as far as astrological signs pile 2, I'm not seeing anything specifically yet because you have air, you have fire, and you have earth. So we'll see what else pops out, but you could have an astrological chart that's very like kind of all over the place with like a lot of like equality between the elements is one possibility. Although I am hearing Aquarius for some reason, which is air, but Aquarius, huh? Maybe air, sun, fire, moon sign, something like that. Okay, let's glean more about your life purpose in these cards. We have alignment, dishonest versus truthful. I think that's another part of your intuition. That's a part of your life purpose here, pile 2, is that you're really good at knowing when people are lying. Maybe also because of the trauma from childhood. Okay. You're someone who is also, I think, focused on seeking and attaining truth. It's very important to you. Very justice-oriented. Okay. Very focused on what is right and what is honest. Maybe even seeking out life's mysteries, too. I get the sense that you tend to have an affinity, pile 2, for the mysterious. Like, I don't know if you tend to be into, well, of course, you're probably at least a little bit interested in tarot readings because you're watching one, like, duh. But you could also be interested in other ways of cardomancy or divination. The mysterious also can manifest in people that are really interested in, like, true crime, things like cryptids, things like mysterious phenomena. I'm seeing that for you as well, and because that's part, I think, too, of where that childlike spirit connects to the ability to imagine and dream. It's like your soul thirsts for the unknown and finding things out and being curious, because that's another way that children really shine, is believing in the impossible, okay? So it's like you trying to find the truth to define and attain the impossible, you know? So yeah, like I said, cryptids, true crime, mysterious phenomena, divination, things like that. You might have even at a young age been really interested in those things, and it maybe people think you're a little bit odd, but weird is good in our world. So yeah, it's like you just very fascinated by the unknown and seeking the unknown. It might be the way that your career is manifested, or a career that you'd be really good at, pile 2, is someone who tries to define the unknown. Okay, so I think of like scientific pursuits, you know, trying to make the unknown knowable. I also think of maybe even working in divination as a job too, like being a tarot reader, for example. It could also be, where else do we define the unknown? Astronomy is also really coming up prominently. You might have had an interest in that as well. Even too, like the designs in this particular card make me think of celestial orbits, like planets around the sun. And then let's look at your Lantern Oracle. We have Repair, number 38. Making amends rather than fun times reveals a relationship's true constitution. So another part of your life purpose and your destiny is to repair relationships that were broken before. Okay. They are mending a blanket together. It takes 2 to tango, right? So, of course, you know, those of you that maybe are still frustrated with your families from, you know, or family members from earlier childhood years, especially if maybe you never really got closure or apology for everything that happened when you were young, you know, of course, like, they have to be worthy of forgiveness and worthy of, you know, you're gonna have to know that they're gonna want to repair those relationships too. But if that is attainable, pile 2, if so, or maybe you've already repaired your relationships with family and people from your younger years, but if not, then that is part of your life purpose too, is to make amends in relationships. And that might also manifest in the way of past lives too. So, for example, like say you have someone in a past life that you had a really bad experience or falling out with, and it's like this life, you're meant to amend that, to repair that relationship in your soul circle, okay? Because there's something of a lesson both of those souls involved, yours and the others, needed to learn, okay? And, oh, this is going to sound like the oddest thing, pile two. Some of you are going to laugh. You're like, where the heck did this come from? But I'm hearing something about smells. I don't know if you have a really high interest in, like, perfumery or aromatherapy. Or, like, making smelling products. Like, the example I'm thinking of is, like, I like to make handmade soap. So, like, handmade bath products, maybe like that. Or, yeah, perfumes. Or you're interested in that. Maybe you collect perfumes. Or colognes. Something along those lines. I don't know if some of you are like perfumers or you're just really interested in perfume. Something along those lines. Sorry. It's kind of weird. I was just, all of a sudden I heard smell. And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? So I was like, trying to think about it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're into like perfuming and stuff like that. If you haven't already tried Pile 2, it might be a good idea for you to experiment with those things as part of your life purpose. I am hearing, I know it's odd to be like, hey, try making perfumes, but or bath and body products that are scented with or perfumed with different smells, but there's something there for you that is fertile for potential. I'm hearing something with smelly things. Okay. Sorry, it's probably a lot of you are like, what the heck is she talking about? But I'll be honest about what comes forward. Let's draw your tarot cards to see more of your life story. Your destiny. Okay. But even like things like perfuming Pile 2 require imagination. Skills that children are good at, right? Seeing possibilities, willing to dream. Alright, let's unveil your tarot story. We have the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so that is the first card, the inciting incident, and in this particular reading I might read it as the childhood card. It means planting seeds for the future. I don't know, did you grow up on a farm, Pile 2? Or did you grow up around a lot of gardens? Something along those lines. I know before we talked about parentification, like you had to grow up really fast, Pile 2, compared to other people. I'm getting this sense. But part of that planted a lot of seeds for your future, as hard as it was, because it made you the strong person you are today. Let's keep looking at the next card to get more. Okay, we have the Eight of Cups, emotionally moving on. So yes, I think you're kind of like Pile 1 today, Pile 2. I don't know if you moved out really early from your childhood home. Or you maybe had a lot of interest in escapism, because the Eight of Cups is like emotionally moving on. Maybe to try to get away from what was going on when you were a child, you invested a lot in daydreaming and imagining other worlds. And you might have been interested in like fantasy, sci-fi fiction, things like that. And two, just in general, trying to move to somewhere better. Trying to follow your heart somewhere else, okay? And then we have the Wheel of Fortune as the center card. So you probably had a lot of struggles too, Pile 2. The Wheel of Fortune reversed in a life purpose reading tells me somebody had fallen on bad luck a lot. I know we talked about with the gambler, like maybe you had a lot of loss, especially financially, either early or even throughout your entire life, maybe still today to this point thus far. Because this also is the present card. You probably have been struggling a lot with things lately, Pile 2, as part of your life purpose. Which is, a hard thing to think about. Because that's one of the hardest things with life purpose is we often ask ourselves, well, why did I have to struggle? Why did I have to suffer? Why? What was the reason? Okay? We like to seek reason for suffering. We'll see more about the next card to kind of find that reason. We have the World. Okay, the reason is because it's bringing something to a close, pile 2. The World is about ending chapters. There's something about the misfortune going on in your life right now that's leading you towards a destiny of ending this chapter of your life and moving to somewhere better, okay? Because I think part of your life purpose, too, is believing in the somewhere better, somewhere else. Kind of like we said with the youthful, childlike spirit and refining that. Very interesting cards. We'll talk about that more. And then last but not least, we have the Four of Cups reversed, noticing something, not being apathetic about things. I think maybe, too, you struggled a lot with being numb, like having to numb yourself to the world, having to cut off your emotions. And so part of your life purpose, too, is to reconnect with your feelings. I don't know. Maybe you tend to be very stoic or, like, stuff your emotions down, pile 2. Because maybe as a child you kind of were expected to, you kind of had to, just to survive. We do that a lot as a defense survival mechanism, is shutting our emotions down because we think they're inconvenient. We think that they're, kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. We're like, oh, you know what? I need to function. I can't deal with my heart right now. But... ... part of your life purpose, pile 2, is not throwing the emotions away, paying attention to them, okay? Let's look at this Wheel of Fortune reversed in the World again, though. Because we talked about the meaning of the suffering that you're going through right now. In regards to your life purpose. Yes, it is bringing something to a close. I'm going to draw just one more card on that Wheel of Fortune, okay? What's the reason for the suffering right now in their life, for their life purpose? The Knight of Pentacles. Slow and steady wins the race, pile 2. Taking action towards finances and career. There's something about what you're going through right now that's leading you towards a destiny regarding taking action with money or career. So with the World as part of this, I think it's like ending a chapter of financial struggle, ending a chapter of financial or like career struggles, things like that. It's like you've had a roadmap in mind. And you've been struggling so far with that Wheel of Fortune as the present card reversed. But it's like finally you'll be able to rest. It'll end with the World because you're taking action, walking that treasure trail down the roadmap towards greater stability in this area. Okay. Kind of tying this into like the destiny part of the reading, not just life purpose. I mean, they're tied, of course, right? And that, too, is part of a life purpose as well, I think, for you, pile 2, is you, just like children do, linking back to that theme, having hope in the future. Dreaming for better, okay? And also maintaining that childlike spirit even when the burdens of adulthood are the heaviest upon us. Not losing our youth or our light, okay? So quite a varied life purpose here today, pile 2. You have quite a lot of different little details to it. But, if I had to summarize the main themes, of course, we talked about, childlike spirit, seeing through a child's eyes, even as an adult. Part of your life purpose is to harness some of your psychic abilities through prophetic dreams, is what I'm hearing specifically. Overcoming financial difficulties, especially, is another thing. Healing from the trauma of childhood. Like I said, I think maybe parentification was an issue. And also seeking the unknown and repairing relationships, just to kind of wrap everything up in a nice bow. Okay. And paying attention to your feelings, not stuffing them down. That's another part of your life purpose and your destiny, okay? So I'm trying to think of like one phrase I would use to describe you in totality, pile 2. There's something about, I'm hearing about seeing light in the dark. Light Seers. Which is interesting because I think there's actually a tarot deck called the Light Seers Tarot. Kind of looks like this one, just ironically. But yeah, Light Seers. Because pile 1 was Star Catchers. You're Light Seers to me, if I had to summarize you with one phrase. meandering through the shadows of life to find the light deep inside and refine it once again. Always starting anew, okay? And having hope in the ability to start anew. So, that is your life purpose reading and your destiny reading today, pile 2. I hope you liked it. I hope that it resonated for you. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below and please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet, as that helps me out a little bit, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future, as I always say. And as is our tradition, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome today to your pick a card reading about your life purpose and your destiny as it unfolds. And of course, as you can recall, your pile leader you chose was Celestial of Fire, True Will. So, to begin your reading today, pile 3, I want to talk about this card as well as a bit of a meditation I did for every single pile today before turning on the camera and recording your message. And what I glimpsed with your life purpose and your destiny from that kind of premeditation part of this reading was something to do with being a light and a warmth and an inspiration to others. I think especially because of the prevalence of fire being one of the elements that is important with your particular card. Also, too, the guidebook for this particular deck mentions something about Prometheus, which, if you're familiar with, I believe it's Greek mythology, he was the one who gave humans fire. Also, the imagery here makes me think of Atlas, who held up the world on his shoulders. Literally, kind of like this person is holding up fire on his shoulders. So, you are a light and an inspiration and a warmth to others. I get the sense that, even if you're not necessarily overly social, pile 3, I think you're really good about making other people feel good. I think you are charming, even if you are, if it's like in an introverted way or if it is in an extroverted way. You're really good, I think, too, about inspiring dreaming in others, in people, giving them kind of the oomph and the push that they need. I think you would actually be really good at, oh boy, I'm trying to think of the right career, like life coaching? Like, I get like cheerleader vibes off of you for some reason. Like you cheerlead other people on. Therapist, something like that. Helping people gain their spark back. It could also mean that you're a fire sign as well, pile 3, as it is a fire card. And 2, from the premeditation session, there was also something about, let me look at my notes really quick here, just one second. Oh, that was the other thing that came through. I had mentioned something about being a font for heavenly messages to show others. And it was explained as being like the story of your life being an example to others. So your life purpose also is an example for other people, pile 3. You are a fountain through which heavenly lessons and heavenly messages and wisdom comes through in the material world here and spreads to the people that you know and inspire, is a part of the inspiration message we talked about. So you don't really have, you're kind of like pile 1 this way. You don't really, at least so far, have a specific, bam, here's your life purpose, at least in terms of like a tangible goal. You're more a life purpose like pile 1 was, where as long as you're inspiring others, as long as you're being creative, creativity was another thing that popped out in the meditation too. As long as you're being creative, inspiring others, spreading warmth in other people, you're doing your life purpose, pile 3. It's not really career connected so much, at least that I'm seeing so far. Another aspect of the meditation that I was gaining some messages from too is I think you are really good at bringing out the light in other people too, not just their dreams and inspiring them and cheerleading them on, but when people are down, I think you're very talented, or if you haven't done so much in your life so far, you would be very talented at making other people happy. For some reason, I'm hearing comedian as well. It's like part of something that you're really good at, or as part of your life purpose, is like inspiring joy in others as well. Like a comedian makes people laugh, right? Maybe you tend to be quite witty, kind of funny, get a good tongue. just a vibrant soul, almost like a sun in the lives of the people around you. Okay, which is a very beautiful life purpose, pile 3. Don't tell the other piles today, but you're my favorite life purpose so far just based on that. And yeah, it is like Prometheus, bringing fire to others, okay? Taking the risk of bringing fire to others. Because he did get punished for it. I think the gods punished Prometheus for giving humanity fire, but he's the reason that we have it, at least in terms of the Greek legend, right? Okay. So even at your own sacrifice, you'll make other people happy, which that can be part of your life purpose too, pile 3, is maybe you sacrifice yourself a little bit too much for other people. I mean, it's good to be kind, it's good to inspire joy, but you also need to take care of yourself. Okay, let's see more about your Citadel Oracle here. The fiery pile, okay. I'm drawn to these two, let's flip them over. So numero uno is, look at that, more fire. We got the upside triangle without the line, fire. The founder, foundations, and community. Yeah, I was like, you know what, pile 3? I feel like you're really good at connecting with people and making them feel warm and protected too, because we have a walled city, right? Community. You're also very good with leadership, or you're meant to be at least, if you're not there at that point yet. A founder of a city. You kindle community. Okay? That's also part of your life purpose. And then we have water this time. Very interesting. We have the adventurer with responsibility and expectations. Oh, and that was another thing in the meditation that came out, pile 3. Let me look at my notes again here. I think I already mentioned it, but I didn't explain it very much. I said the story of life to be read to others. And so when adventurer came out, I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of that. I think too, and it, of course, feel free to chime down in the comments down below, but I feel like you specifically have a life that would be really good if you were to write it down and turn it into a story, either in a nonfiction way, which of course you can just write down your true life story if you want to do that, but I think a part of your life purpose, if not nonfiction, is to write down your life in metaphorical ways, in, say, like, in fiction, right? So like in, maybe fantasy, maybe sci-fi, maybe horror, maybe romance, whatever your particular, some of you might actually be writers, potentially, or you'd be really good at it if you tried, if you haven't done that yet. Because an adventurer is like a hero in a story, right? And that's kind of your life purpose, is to be the hero in the story that other people read, that inspires their heroism and their own journey. And responsibility and expectations. That's an interesting particular set of keywords there. Let me meditate on that for just a moment. Responsibility and expectations. I think that just leans back to the leadership thing I was talking about with the founder, especially responsibility. A very responsible person. Very good at leading. And I think you just generally tend to excel at a lot of different things. I'm getting jack of all trades is the type of, is the phrase coming forward for you, pile 3. A jack of all trades. Trying many new things. I think you have, and I say this with like a very, like, a high fondness and with respect, pile 3, but I think you kind of have like what I would call a crow brain, in that, a lot of different things interest you, kind of like a crow being attracted to different shinies. Like, I know that sounds really condescending, pile 3. I don't mean it as an insult, like, whatsoever. It's a compliment, right? You're someone who is very good at trying, like I said, trying new things, at seeing new possibilities. Just like crows look out for shiny things, okay? Now, sometimes that might manifest and you get kind of distracted because you're going from this hobby to this hobby to this hobby, like the jack of all trades thing I was talking about. But at the same time, you see possibilities and inspiration where other people do not. And I think that's also part of your inspiration life purpose, is that you see these things and you tell other people about them. Like, oh, hey, well, did you try this thing? Oh, hey, did you notice that thing? Oh, hey, I did this brand new thing the other day and it was really fun. I think you would be interested in that. That's another way I think that you're a really good cheerleader to other people, is you interest them in trying new things. Okay. Let's also grab your other oracle decks. And then, of course, we will also have tarot cards towards the end. could also be that you are a fire sign, pile 3, or you tend to have an abundance of fire signs in your chart. For some reason, Aries is coming forward specifically for you, for me. Okay, let's shuffle this one. Yeah, Aries. Well, it's interesting, too, because even though your adventurer card says water, there literally is a volcano. So you think of fire, right? And fire, any volcanoes specifically represent creation through the power of fire and earth, right? Because new islands are formed from volcanoes. I mean, that is how I think most of Hawaii, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I think that's like how most of Hawaii formed, was volcanic activity, right? Let's grab this card. We have, beautiful, the priestess, ignorant versus wise. And a priestess, pile 3, also is someone that does inspire others, right? A priestess is a member of a clergy, is a member of, a religion that shares that wisdom and truth of that particular religion with other people, especially in a feminine way, being a priestess rather than a priest. And the feminine way is indirect. The feminine way is not in your face. It's through subtlety. And like I said, once again, it's just a reflection of how you inspire other people, or that's part of your life purpose. In indirect ways, just being who you are in your story, inspiring others. Okay, it also could mean that maybe part of your life purpose is related to, I don't want to say religion specifically, although I know a priestess typically is with a religion, right? But spirituality, okay? Exploring spirituality, exploring the wisdom in different spiritualities. I almost wonder, too, if maybe you haven't ever really stuck with just one spirituality. You've kind of sampled each and every single one, kind of like the crow brain thing we were talking about earlier in a positive way. Oh, I want to learn about Buddhism today. Oh, I want to learn about Judaism today. Oh, I want to learn about, what's another one? Christianity the other day. Islam, whatever. Insert religion here, okay? Or, more pagan faiths, of course, too. And I think that, as a part of your life purpose, sampling those different things, especially when it comes to spirituality, pile 3, has made you very wise. Okay, I think, too, organized religion might not be your favorite thing, because I think you're really good about seeing the pros and the cons in different particular religions, because you've explored so many different ones. You've kind of seen the good and the bad of all of them. And so I think, too, it's like you've really sieved the truth from every single one. And I feel like you're the type of person where a lot of your spirituality is like the truths of many combined, rather than just one. And so I think that makes you quite an advanced soul in terms of spirituality, or that's part of your path and what you're destined to be, okay? And you inspire others that way as well. And then we have number 4, strength of vulnerability. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. That's another thing that's popping through for you, pile 3. You are the type of person, at least you're meant to be, where underdog is the word coming through for you. I would also say, like, just to describe it in greater detail, you're the type of person who people, and like, I don't mean this as like an insult, once again, pile 3, people might perceive you as weaker than you actually are. I don't know if maybe you're kind of more frail of frame, or you're kind of a tinier person, or you tend to be short for your particular like age and gender and, ethnicity, something like that. And it's like you tend to be underestimated. But sometimes pile 3 being underestimated is a strength in and of itself, like strength of vulnerability says. Because people don't expect you coming. Because you're the type of person, I get the sense, where you look, the metaphor that's coming through, the imagery I should say, is you look like, or you come off as like, I'll use an animal as a metaphor. You come off or look like a puppy, but actually you're a wolf in a positive way. Like, that's kind of what I'm seeing for you. Like, people do not expect your verve and intelligence and skill and strength and power just because of either the way you look or the way that, I think too, like maybe you tend to be really nice and kind. And unfortunately in our world, pile 3, as we all know, nice and kind people sometimes get perceived as weak, which is really sad, but humanity gonna human. But then at the same time, you're not a doormat. Or part of your life purpose is to get to the point of being the wolf inside of a puppy's body. Okay? And then strength of vulnerability too speaks about being willing to be vulnerable. Maybe you kind of struggle because of that. Maybe people underestimate you a lot. And so maybe in earlier years when you were younger, you struggled with trying to come off as like very powerful and bold and kind of almost in a too strong way because you knew that maybe people perceived you weakly or as weak. And so like maybe you kind of overdid it a little bit when you were younger, but like now, or part of your journey is towards a destiny of finding a good balance of power in a subtle way, just like the priestess, where she shows the wisdom that she has from the religion that she preaches in a feminine way. Subtle, but powerful. Okay, what do they always call that? The iron hand and the velvet glove. There you go. That's another way I would describe you, pile 3. Okay. And also, this speaks to a life purpose of churning what you perceived as weaknesses yourself inside and turning it into a strength. So, for example, and this might not specifically apply to you, pile 3. This might just be an example, but maybe some of you will. For example, like let's say when you were very young, you were very sensitive. Okay, maybe things got to you a lot easier than other kids, or things really made you more emotional faster than other people. Like you just tended to be like hyper vigilant and aware, and it made you very you felt a lot, and maybe you still do, pile 3. I know sensitive people tend to be that way their whole lives, myself included, right? But like you can turn that into a strength, and that being sensitive to emotions and feelings would make you, like, say, a really good therapist, just as an example, right? Or it could also, make you someone who is very good with your creativity, because you perceive and you feel a lot. And you can turn that through the power of fire, creativity, and willpower. That's usually what it represents in cartomancy, just like your pie leader says, into beautiful works of art, into paintings, into music, into whatever new hobby you're trying today. Okay, things like that. Let's pull your tarot cards. I haven't got those yet. This will help us kind of see your destiny and kind of the path that you've been on so far. I call it kind of a story of your life spread here as the destiny aspect of your reading today. So let's glimpse into that. Four and 5. Okay, let's unveil the story. Your tarot story is what I'll call it. Card 1, we have the Knight of Wands. More fire, pile 3. Fire everywhere. We have someone who takes action with our passions. So I wonder, being the first card, I kind of see that as like the childhood card of this particular spread I've been doing today. I think as a child you were very creative too. You always have had this passion and this creativity inside of you. Like, I don't know if a lot of you were really into, like, scrapbooking is coming forward for some reason. But it could also manifest in other creative arts, like painting, music, everything that we already talked about so far. From the beginning, you were a creative sort. You're meant for fire, okay? Creative expression. Then we have the 3 of Swords, however. We have the card of pain. All right, so I think every single pile today has had some sort of childhood trauma or pain. So I do see, maybe not early childhood, pile 3, but maybe adolescence, teenage years, something like that. You went through something very painful as a part of your life purpose and your destiny. That can manifest in different ways. That could have been maybe your parents broke up. Maybe you had like a really harsh breakup when you were a teenager into maybe like early 20s, or depending on your age now, because I know all of us watching this are different ages. But there's some great sadness, maybe losing a family member when you were very young in teenage years, becoming homeless, we'll see what the third card is to give us more reflection. And then we've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Okay. So I would kind of see that as the present card, what's going on right now after that pain of adolescence. And then now at the time that you're viewing this reading, at whatever age you are at, you know, sometimes that can mean financial struggle. That can also mean Queen of Pentacles reversed is somebody who has a hard time being happy with what they have. Because it's the negative side of Earth turned inward. Materialism, things like that. So, you know, once again, we have someone painting. Look at that, pile 3. Some of you have to be a painter, I swear to God. But yeah, so, like, let's keep looking at your other cards. Then we have the Empress, which is, I'll give you one guess what that represents, pile 3. Creativity. Okay. Nurturing things too. Being a mother as well. Okay, even though some of you might be men, right? Parenthood, I should say, really, just to kind of keep it gender neutral. But, yeah, and then we have the Five of Pentacles reversed. Part of your destiny is overcoming some financial struggle. So that's why I was waiting to kind of explain the Queen of Pentacles more, because we do have other cards here that could explain with the trajectory. So pile 3, especially if you're going through financial difficulties right now, part of your destiny is to overcome those financial difficulties. Hence the outcome of the Five of Pentacles reversed. That is fantastic if you're having financial problems, because that means we're getting out of those hardships, okay? But you're getting out of them through your creativity. So that's part of your life purpose too, pile 3, is, funnily, like I said, she's painting. Go figure. But the Empress is creativity, nurturing, creation energy, right? She is, well, I know we talk about like water with femininity a lot, but sometimes I see motherhood as like a fire element too. And because it is, you know, willpower and new life sparked through the element of earth, meaning, you know, made material, hence a baby's created, right? But we also see that as a metaphor for like creative projects. Okay, so just as a piece of advice, if you're struggling right now, pile 3, with money, one of your creative outlets is a key to getting out of that. Maybe selling art, selling services with artistic, creative things, something along those lines. But in general, as like a destiny, your path is using that fire to overcome your hardships. Okay, so when in doubt, create. If I had to give you one piece of advice, when in doubt, create. What a beautiful reading. Also, too, overcoming financial hardships. So as a life purpose with that Five of Pentacles reverse, that means that you are meant to overcome struggling with money. Okay, so that maybe throughout your life so far, when you were young, there were a lot of money problems, okay? Overcoming that is part of the lesson you're meant to learn and part of your destiny, okay? Also, I think, you know, and of course all of us are different, you know, some people want to have kids, some people don't, but I'm seeing with the Empress here, a lot of you like maybe leaning towards part of your life purpose is raising children, okay? That doesn't mean you have to do it if you don't want to raise children, right? But at the same time, with so much creation energy, and then we have like the motherhood card with Empress, I think it's a good chunk of your life purpose for a lot of you is being a parent, okay? Things like that. So, in every single pile today, I've been trying to figure out one phrase I would use to describe all of you. And pile 1 was star chasers. Pile 2 was light seers or light seekers. I'm trying to think what I would use for you, pile 3. I'm hearing fire makers. Fire makers. Fire starters. That's how I would describe you today. A lot of red in your reading too. Okay. So, what a beautiful life purpose. So just keep shining and being you. And even, too, you can see the light behind her stomach here in the Empress. It's like the light shining through, like we described at the very beginning of this reading. You're like a sun in other people's lives. Okay, so keep inspiring, keep making, keep doing, keep creating, keep being you. And that is what I'll leave you with today, my wonderful pile 3. So if you liked that reading and if it resonated, please like the video. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to Lone Pine Tarot if you have not done so yet, because that helps me out just a little bit, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, Pile 3.